Well, if you do remember, when we come for championship weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 6th, 7th, and 8th, there will be 4 champions crowned, as there will be a champion in the ARCA West Series as well. And today we're going to talk to one of those competitors running the full schedule of the ARCA West. I'm Devon Henry here on the Inside Lane on Sports 360 AZ, and joining us on the Inside Lane, he is the 2015 A-Class Wing Tulsa Shootout champion, the youngest winner in World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series history, and a 2018 Chili Bowl Nationals A-Main starter. Driver of the Bill McAnally Napa Auto Parts number 16 Toyota Camry from Fresno, California, it's Gio Scelzi. Gio, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you. Right out of the gate, though, it looks like you're in an RV. Have you been getting enough sleep? I know you haven't raced as much as you wanted to, but you're still traveling a lot. Are you okay? Have you gotten enough sleep lately?
Yeah, I'm good. I've been flying back home to race the ARCA car and been flying back to Pennsylvania to race the sprint car. So it's been fun. The last couple weekends, I think we raced, I think 6 times in 9 days. So it's been fun. And now we're just weekend warriors now. So I got the whole week off now, and I'm already bored. It's Tuesday. I'm ready to get back on the racetrack.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about your dirt racing, because obviously you're doing a little bit more of that than the pavement stuff, but I do want to talk about championship weekend coming up for the ARCA West Series. You kind of started off the season a little shaky, had a tough finish at Las Vegas at the Bull Ring, but the last race there a few weeks ago, you really showed how impressive you were. Second place finish, and so you look back at the ARCA race, the ARCA National race at Phoenix back in March. What did you learn from that race that you can take into the race in November to try to get an improvement like you did at Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think obviously that was pretty early in the season. I think we've run 12 or 13 races this year. And I think, like you said, having a tough race at Vegas the first time and then coming back, kind of you have experience, you're a little bit more comfortable going there again and kind of know what to expect throughout the race. I think we'll have a good finish. There's going to be a lot of good cars there, hopefully over 20 cars. So, I think going to a place a second, third, and fourth time, you obviously learn so much more. And this year has been a huge learning year for me, racing the ARCA car for the first time, being on pavement for the first time. So it's been a big learning curve, but I think we've started to figure each other out with me and my crew chief, and kind of have become more on the same page and have had some better finishes.
And you've grown up racing dirt. As you mentioned, this is the first year that you've been running on pavement. And speaking of that learning curve, for you, what has been the biggest obstacle to overcome that maybe you didn't anticipate when you signed up for this?
Man, I think people can tell you, give you a rundown of what's going to be different, but until you actually do it, you really don't understand it. And just having the difference in race lengths between a sprint car and an ARCA car. Obviously, you're over 100 laps every pavement race, and sprint car races, the most we ever have is 50 laps. So I think just pacing yourself and not getting frustrated early in the race, because you're on the same set of tires, and if you use your stuff early, you're not going to have anything left at the end. So I think that's been the biggest thing, is just the length of the races and being in better physical shape. Obviously those things are being inside of the oven when it's hot outside, so you have much air moving through them. So I think between physically and like I said, how long the races go, and kind of trying to pace yourself throughout the race, and like I said, not use your stuff up early and make sure you save it for the end.
And looking back at that General Tire 150 at Phoenix to kind of open up the Sioux Chief Showdown series at the very least, talked to you before the race, and you said, the goal will get out there, run as many laps as possible, keep it off the wall. Unfortunately, you got into Sam Mayer, and that didn't necessarily happen, didn't keep the car clean. But what you learned from that race, what exactly did you learn there, and you're going, okay, this is what I need to do different when we're back here on November 7th?
Yeah, I think, between racing Phoenix, Iowa, and Gateway, obviously 3 big racetracks, very different racetracks, but all kind of the same idea, and being a lot faster, and in how air affects you a little bit more. I think, honestly, we've struggled at all 3 of them. Didn't have the finishes we wanted at any of them, but I think hopefully putting them all together and kind of, seeing our trends from being better on short tracks and kind of hopefully moving in the same direction on the mile racetracks. So I think, just talk about it with my crew chief, and we've talked about where we can be better and where we struggle the most at. And just getting me comfortable is the biggest thing, which is tough. Obviously, those things feel so uncomfortable all the time to me coming from a sprint car. So I think what I need is different than what a lot of other drivers need. And we've started to figure each other out with talking to each other and just kind of getting me more comfortable and seeing what works and doesn't work for me in the race car.
And speaking of that sprint car, you've been doing so much during the entire year. I mean, you're at Indiana Midget Week, you're at the Governor's Reign at Eldora, you're running midgets, you're running sprint cars, KCP Racing, Tucker Boat, some two really big names there that you're racing for. And you're racing against guys like Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Courtney, Chris Wyndham, other guys who are really diversified in the different disciplines of racing. So in your mind at just 18, how important is it and what kind of difference does it make to have the experience in a bunch of different disciplines and then take that to something new like pavement racing this year?
Yeah, obviously I've been very fortunate to get in race-winning cars all the time, which has made my career move a lot quicker than a lot of other people. So I think having success at a young age, makes it a little bit more difficult when you go through those struggles like that and go through a new learning curve, obviously, because I've been so comfortable racing sprint cars for so long. And then this year kind of stepped back from sprint car racing and tried to focus on some pavement racing, which has been a huge learning curve. And I've struggled quite a bit really with it, which has been frustrating because I'm so used to racing 60, 70, 80 times a year. And you only get to race 15 or 20 times a year. So I've been lucky to have the schedule change where we have raced a couple races back to back or back to back weekends, which makes my learning curve a lot quicker. But, I think staying in a seat, in any kind of seat, helps you out, whether it's a sprint car, like you said, a midget, ARCA car, anything you can stay behind the wheel is going to make you a lot sharper.
And obviously, you come from a great racing lineage. Your dad, Gary, was an NHRA champion. Your older brother, Dominic, he's out racing sprint cars as well and being very successful in that. So how much do those two kind of try to give you some input on the pavement stuff? I know your dad, Gary, was at the ARCA race back in March at Phoenix, but are either of them kind of like bad backseat drivers or something, trying to give you a little bit of extra tips and you're like, wait a minute, you guys haven't done this before?
Not so much backseat drivers. I think they're supportive with the PR side of things and dealing with stuff like this and sponsors. And my dad's obviously been through all that with big sponsors in drag racing with Mopar, Oakley, Winston, all the people he was with. He's really helpful with stuff like that. With just staying in touch with people and trying to treat people the right way, being respectful and kind of realizing everybody's eyes are on you, and when you do something stupid, everybody's going to see it. So I think Dominic, obviously we got to travel together a bit this year, which we had never really got to do in sprint car racing. I was always kind of in Indiana and he was in Des Moines, Iowa. So we crossed paths at Knoxville Nationals and a couple of races, but not as much as we'd like to. I kind of went east and he sort of went west. So it was fun this year racing with Dominic. He's my best friend, and we got to race out of side-by-side trailers and stuff. So it was a lot of fun, kind of when the schedules got mixed up and there was only really one race going on every weekend. So they're both super helpful with whatever it is, whether I need advice on, like I said, with sponsors or driving even. They both put their 2 cents in.
And obviously you guys moving around so much, like you mentioned, you're driving to one place, Dom's racing another place. How often do you actually get to see your family, and what's it like when you're able to share that race weekend experience with them when you have that opportunity? Yeah,
it's huge. Last year when everything was normal, they went to quite a few races. My mom did, and they kind of tried to split up. One parent would go to Dominic's race, one parent would go to my race, and races like the Knoxville Nationals, the Kings Royal, National Open, stuff like that, where we're at the same place. They would try to both come see us, and it's awesome. Knoxville was such a fun week. In the last couple of years, I'd run those 3 weeks of Knoxville National, 360 Nationals, 410 Nationals, and they'd be there the whole week. So it's fun when you can have your family around, and after the races, they can come down and see you. It's hard for us because we travel so much, and last year between weather, we weren't really following a schedule. So I didn't know where I was going to be, whether we were going to go to Ohio or Knoxville, so it was so hard for them to fly in and know really where they're going because I didn't know where I was going, trying to chase weather. So, but yeah, I love having them around and having them support me.
Coming up this weekend, one of 2 races over the course of 3 weeks for the ARCA Menards West Series, at least in California, so you're kind of coming back home. Talking with Gio Scelzi here on the inside lane, driver of the Bill McAnally number 16 car. Before I let you go, gotta do a segment called Quick Time. I got some rapid fire questions for you, looking for some answers in return. You ready to set Quick Time, Gio?
All right, let's do it.
All righty, first and foremost, your favorite track to race out regardless of the car?
Knoxville Raceway.
Knoxville. Why Knoxville? The historic Knoxville Raceway.
There's nothing like it. You roll into Knoxville and I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. There's nothing like the Knoxville Nationals, and it's the best racetrack to race at in the world.
So you mentioned you're already bored. What do you do on weeks like this when there's no weekday racing? What do you do when you're bored?
Man, I spend a lot of time with my crew guys here. We stay in a hotel here in Hanover, and we spend pretty much every waking second together. So luckily, I really enjoy being around both of them, and and we've pretty much made the Texas Roadhouse here right down the road our hangout. So we've been there pretty much every night this week.
So you've done stock cars, you've done midgets, sprint cars with wings, whatever, so many different disciplines. Is there a discipline that you haven't been able to do yet that you really want to get behind the wheel of?
Oh, man, that's tough. I really don't have any desire to race a non-wing sprint car. They kind of scare me, to be honest with you. Man, a wing sprint car is the coolest thing in the world. There's nothing like I said, going to Knoxville or Eldora or Williams Grove and winning a race there. There's nothing quite like it.
Alrighty, so I got a stat for you here. Your dad, Gary, he competed in the 2008 Chili Bowl Nationals. He didn't really do as well as you did, making it to the A-Main 10 years later. But I want to see if I can get a wild guess out of you. What letter main did your dad get eliminated in at the 2008 Chili Bowl Nationals?
I'm going to go with the G.
The G, that's pretty dang close. It was the H main. He gets eliminated.
Oh, man,
You were right there, right there. But at any consolation, he did beat Cruz Pedregon, fellow NHRA drag racer. So if that's anything. And then he also beat Ron Capps in a midget race in 2003 at the Chili Bowl Race of Champions too. But from that, what will it take to get you and your dad racing side by side in a race? What will that take?
Man, I don't know if you'll ever see that other than maybe driving down the highway together. But, man, it would be fun. I think we're actually trying to build a go-kart track behind our house. So that's kind of been on the back burner a bit till we get home. I'm sure this winter you'll see some videos on Facebook and stuff of us racing together.
Well, that will be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Gio, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you here in about a month's time at Phoenix Raceway. Appreciate it, Gio.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
This is the Inside Lane on Sports 360 AZ. Keep it to Sports 360 AZ for the next month or so to keep up with everything going on NASCAR Championship Weekend.